Red alert, folks. I know I said that I wouldn't talk about Rekieta after, Wednesday? And then, boy, I had no idea. Nobody had any idea that he was then going to be arrested and charged, booked on Thursday. And so I think it's official. Rekieta is completely Ralphed here. It is, there's no debate now. You know, the child endangerment charges, not looking good. And I guess what's perhaps the most ironic thing of all is that whether or not Nick went and did that whole Coke stream on, Monday, all of this would have played out just the same. Because the raid on Nick's house that was carried out by the local police in his town in Minnesota, that was instigated by a report that was filed on May 8th. Someone went into the police station, some sort of mandatory reporter, meaning like a school teacher or a doctor or a priest, some sort of professional like that who has contact with the Rekieta family, filed a report that they think that his children were in danger by his actions. And so that led to a knock on the door yesterday morning, I think it was. And from what I understand, old Nick, he didn't open up. He barricaded himself inside the house and waited for the police to bust down the door and was dragged out kicking and screaming. And despite that, he went out not with a bang, but with a whimper. They found his stash in the master bedroom, along with a rifle. And when you get caught with drugs, you don't also want to have a gun, because then that kind of that becomes its own crime. Because you're not supposed to have the drugs, but then when you have guns on top of the drugs, then it's kind of like a DUI situation. And so definitely in the no bueno zone. And so he's looking at a long time in prison, potentially. And considering that there are kids involved, will he be able to get off on just like some kind of deferment program? I don't know. I'm not the lawyer here. Nick's supposed to be the lawyer. He's supposed to be the expert on how to not end up in these situations. But this is truly a record scratch freeze frame kind of week for Mr. Nick Rekieta. It's very sad to see someone go down like this. As I said the other day, I'm not going to weep for him today like I did on Wednesday. I was genuinely sad to see someone like, and it is sad to just think about it. Someone who had a very nice life, a life that countless men across America strive to achieve. A wife, many children, a stable income. On top of that, he had fame and notoriety from his YouTube channel. He had all that, and yet he chose the path of the Lolcow. The Quartering put up what he described as a cursed image on Twitter today, and it was really quite remarkable. It was an image of 4 smiling men. 4 men who had a pretty substantial following, all their own, men who got along, guys who had all made it, not in the sense that they were big-time celebrities or something, but in the sense that they had decent careers, they had, reputation, they had a following. They all should have led pretty good lives, pretty comfortable lives. And yet, out of the 4 men pictured, the only one left, really, who is still kind of on his feet, is Andy Worski. He's doing the best out of all of them. The 4 guys was Worski, Rekieta, Ethan Ralph, and the late Gonzalo Lira, known as Coach Red Pill. Obviously, Gonzalo's had the worst time out of any of those guys because he picked the wrong country out of every country in the world that he could have emigrated to from the United States. He picked the worst one, I think it's safe to say at this point, and it cost him his life. But as far as the other three, they all, became drug addicts. And as of yet, the only one to hit rock bottom and pick himself back up is Worski. So good for him. Happy for him. It's nice to see people put their lives back together. But Nick and Ralph, and it's like you just see, makes you really think what I was talking about the other day about what the internet does to people. It's like, is it just that all those four guys? Do you really think that without this whole scene, the YouTube streaming, friggin' 4chan Kiwi Farms environment that they put themselves into, that they came up in, do you think any of them would have ended up where they are now? Do you think Gonzalo would be dead? Do you think that Nick would be bailing himself out of jail? Do you think he would have destroyed his own family? Do you think that Ethan Ralph would be friggin' popping Xanax for tips down in Mexico? And I ask these questions not because these four men are particularly important or something like that. I don't think that these are I don't think that these are great tragedies because they happen to these guys. I think it's interesting to study. I think just they themselves are interesting case studies. Put it that way. Because I think any of us watching from the outside, we look at the lives that any of these guys had, and we can all say with absolute confidence that we could have handled both the opportunities and the risks that all of them encountered. We would have all handled them much better. That's the easy thing to say from looking out. But why is it that these people make such terrible decisions? It's kind of like when you talk about the the child stars in Hollywood, how they grow up to be drug addicts and fuck ups and going to rehab. Like, is it a coincidence, or is it the nature of being the child stars? I think these days everyone understands. Oh yeah, it's because they were molested as kids and pimped out by their parents. That's why they're fucked up. And so we've squared that circle. We understand why the child stars and the celebrities destroy the great opportunity, all the wealth that they come into, while the rest of us are, out here scrounging for table scraps, trying to make ends meet. We're living our lives so much better, we think, and yet look at how much less we're able to produce. These guys came into, and obviously this is a completely different scale, comparing, let's say, I don't know, Amanda Bynes to Nick Rekieta. I think Amanda Bynes probably made a lot more money at her peak. But it's the same principle. So anyway, it is what it is. This is Nick's life. And I guess at this point, I'll be around for the laughs. I don't know what else to say. I hear that he is potentially representing himself. Who knows if he has any money left for lawyers. He said some pretty unspeakable things about judges in his local area during that Monday Coke stream. So hopefully he doesn't get tried before that judge. I hope the trial is televised. I don't know. Maybe it would be really sad. Maybe it'll be really funny. If he represents himself, it could be really funny. Like what was that guy Ronnie something who shot his wife and his son, I think, or maybe he killed his daughter too. Maybe he killed the wife and the daughter, and the son got away. And then the young son testified against him in court, and this guy, his name wasn't Ronnie DeWitt. What was it? Ronnie something. He was from Tampa, I think, and he was just absolutely nuts, schizo, representing himself in court. Total Looney Tunes, but it made for compelling television. So maybe we'll get the same out of Nick. Obviously in that guy's case, the guy that murdered his wife and tried to murder the rest of his family, It's not that murdering his family was funny. It's that, I mean, he was a psycho clown. And so maybe Rekieta could give us a similar sort of quality. But anyway, with that said, I will see you folks back here in the next one.